we've got to talk about Logan Roy while you're here. So, you say every part is it's important, but it's just another part. It's another role I inhabit. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to meet it in the middle. I'm going to find the truth within it. I'm going to hold a magnifying glass over it. I'm going to get that truth out there. One of the things you allude to is the fact that we all know when somebody isn't being truthful. Because you can't be a bit truthful. Either you're 100% telling the truth or you're lying. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And the reason that certain stories and certain productions hit home better than others is because they speak the truth. And as an audience member, you don't know you know it, but you do know it.
Exactly, you recognise it.
What tell us about the truth that you brought to Logan Roy. Tell us about the conversation you had yourself with him, about him, and also tell us about his demise. Were you happy with the way he left the show?
People, when I left the show, I got lots of phone calls from people saying they weren't going to watch it anymore.
Right.
I said, no, that's it, we're not going to watch it anymore. And I go, it's called Succession.
Yeah.
You have to see the Succession. That's the whole point.
Also, you weren't looking for their vote, were you?
No, exactly. And I just said, watch the show, see it, go through with it. And what was great about Logan is that the audience didn't really understand him, which is what I loved. They thought he was this brutal person, but he wasn't. He's brutal in the way that he does it. But his greatest weakness, and also perhaps his strength, but actually his greatest weakness, is he loves his children. If he didn't love his children, he'd be a lot better off. He wouldn't have had any of the problems.
Yeah. But
because, and of course my favourite line in the whole show was, finally I got to say it, and my penultimate episode, I love you, but you're not serious people. And that was, it was such a great line, and it just said everything. It completely commented on 4 seasons of what the struggle was for Logan. And I just thought, this man has not been understood. All he wants is one of his kids to take over the firm. I know you can argue on what he is politically or what have you, but that's all he wants. He wants his children to do it, and none of them are up to it. They are devious, they are recalcitrant, they are just ridiculous, those children. Absolutely ridiculous. And of course, naturally, the one person who helps him when he has UTI is his son-in-law, Tom. Yeah. Tom's going to get the prize because of his kindness, Yeah. And also he's already arranged with Skarsgård, probably at the end of season 3, that he knows where it's going to go. And he passes. Now, about his passing, it was a bit sudden, I have to say, because I thought, let me get into it.
Yeah.
But it was also brilliant. And that's where you trust the writer. You go, it was a brilliant thing because it was shocking. It was truly shocking. Nobody expected it.
It was so quick, wasn't it?
And it was ridiculous for me because I was never there.
Yeah.
I just said, because there was some other body lying there on the floor, not me.
Literally some other body.
I did have to do one shot where they had my hand or something near my ear. It was my ear, that was what it was. But that was it. I was never there, and so I never felt my passing at all. It was gone. I was there and I was gone. And it was weird. And when we got to the funeral, I thought, wow, my ma, who was... I come from a Catholic family. My mother would have been over the moon by the way I was buried.
What a funeral. You wouldn't have gone to that just because as a fan, would you? You wouldn't have gone to filming that you don't have to go to.
No. There's an interesting story about that because they didn't want to give away that Logan had died.
Oh, right.
So they didn't want. So they wanted me to come to the funeral on the day, and I was driving up there, and then they said, because they were going to do a phony scene to mislead people.
Yeah.
And I was driving up to the studio when they said, "Oh no, you have to go back. We're not going to shoot that scene." And I said no. And I said to the driver, "Take me to the studio. Take me." Well, actually, it was to the church where it's happening. I said because I know they're going to be paparazzi there, so I need to be there so that they can see that I'm not in that coffin.
Right.
And luckily enough, I did. Otherwise, if I hadn't done that, the game would have been up.
Wow. That was some scene though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did they literally stop the traffic for that?
Oh, yeah. They stopped everything. And of course, the most amazing thing was Kieran's performance, which I thought was so astonishing, and when he breaks down, when he finally it all falls to pieces, it was a great show, and Jesse and those writers were just wonderful to work with.
Yeah, you can have all the stories you like, but if the story's too big, you're not going to be able to keep it up.
And also the fact is, it doesn't go past its sell-by date.
Yeah.
He knew when to conclude it, and it was brilliant. A lot of those shows, they just go on, and they don't have any sense of completion.
Yeah. Is it a career? Could you say it was a career-defining role, even though you've done so many other things, or is it just another arrow in the quiver?
Well, I would like to think of it as another arrow in the quiver, or a quiver on the arrow. But it has. I have to accept it has been. When you're described as being a local legend to light the Christmas lights, the local, and you go,
this was yesterday.
This was yesterday, and I go. I'm still uneasy about it. I do mourn my anonymity. People used to say, I know. Oh, yeah, you were, was it you? Oh,
no,
yeah, it was
definitely you.
But now with Logan Roy, everybody wants me to do that famous phrase, which of course I cannot do on radio here.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're having trouble with peed off. We've got no chance with, the next elevation of that. You talked about Kieran then. We talked about Macaulay Culkin earlier because Macaulay received his star on the Walk of Fame yesterday. And you were talking about it's never too late to act. You say that in the course. You say, it's never too late to act. You can start acting at the age of 80 if you want. And by the way, they need actors who are 80 plus. Talking about Bill Nighy. Bill Nighy he wasn't discovered properly until later in life by accident via Richard Curtis's movie. It is never too late. You also open the whole series, these masterclasses on BBC Maestro, talking to a little 2-3-year-old, teaching them Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah.
Who is that?
He's a guy called, he's now 16. So that was, and he was
He's
only
the cutest kid in the world.
He was called Theo. He was 2.5, and we were celebrating. It was actually literally at this time of year, before Christmas, and I was staying in my friend's house in Drimond. He lives in Scotland. John Archer. He's a documentary producer, and Theo was his little boy, and I could see that Theo was really quite good with language. So I just tried this experiment, and John literally shot it. I didn't, it wasn't meant to be shot. It was just I wanted to see how this little boy would deal with stuff. And it was just, to me, it's a revelation, because what he does in that video is that he just gets distracted. He's 2.5. He talks about his action men or something that is in the corner, and he gets taken. But then when he comes back to it, he does this extraordinary moment when he goes, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, and he makes this gesture with his arms. He goes, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, and does this with his arms. Nobody told him to do that.
Because he's in it, isn't he?
That's him. That was him doing it. And you go, that's the part, and everybody has imagination, and particularly at that age, we're riddled with imagination because we don't know what's real and what's not real. That's what it is.
Well, there are 25 lessons, and they've all got their own sort of subtitle. But then within each episode, there are all these little, again, more subtitles. Imagination is one of them. Creativity is another one. Confidence is another one. Brian, it's great. I don't think I'm going to take up acting any day soon. But you do start off the whole thing with, we all act every day anyway.
Every day.
People say, oh, well, you know me, I'm just myself. No, you're not. Good luck with that. Nobody's themselves.
No,
if only
nobody,
we could be.
Nobody. We're constantly made to act despite ourselves.
Yeah. Listen, you're late for Talk Sport. You got to go. It's great to see you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. That was lovely.
It's great to see you. Local legend, Brian Cox on the show. Amazing. Off to Talk Sport now. Thank you.